This video is probably going to upset some people, but it needs to be said, right? We're all mad about the national debt being trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. We're all mad about sending all this money to all these other countries, right? Paying their retirements, paying their workers and everything else, right? We all know that's going on. Our country operates at a deficit spending, right? And people be like, this debt needs to be paid off. It does. Let me ask you something. If you ran a business and your business model ran just like the United States government, do you think you would be successful? Do you think you would be able to go get a loan? I don't think you would, right? You would probably need, if you was wanting $1,000, you'd probably need 1,000 co-signers, right? But what I'm fixing to say is going to upset some people. Income tax refunds, right? We don't ever get one. Some of y'all probably don't get one either, but you do have earned income credit. When my kids were little, we got earned income credit. Here's the catch to that. Have you ever noticed that a lot of people get back $8, $9, $10,000, right? Ask yourself, are they paying that much in on their taxes? More than likely not, right? They're not paying $10,000 at the end of the year, add it all up, and that's what they're getting their refund back. People would be upset if they said, hey, we're not going to do tax refunds no more. We got to take all these tax refunds and pay the national debt. And people get mad about that, right? Most people that watch my videos are probably like me. You wind up owing, or you might break even if you're lucky, right? You may just barely break even. Usually you wind up owing, especially when it comes to state. But that right there shows you how the government is. And the people's going to get upset, but you got to understand, some people get back enormous amount of refund checks, and what do you see most of them do with it, right? They go buy a car, or they catch, responsible ones catch their bills up. You're probably like me. You know people that during Christmas they go out and spend money they don't have, right? Because they know that when their tax refund comes in, they can catch the rent up. They skip the rent payment, they skip the power payment to buy Christmas, right? That's what they do. And then when the refund comes in, they get caught back up. And then you also see people to go out and buy new TVs, new gaming systems, new cars. Usually that stuff's for sale within 3 to 4 months after they buy it, if it's on payments. Just like back during the pandemic, you had all that money coming in every week. People around here, $800 may not sound like a lot of money where you're from. Around here where I live, that's more than most people bring home in a week. Just to tell you the truth, that bringing home $3,200 a month is what some people were bringing home, right? And what happened during that? They got told, well, you don't have to pay your rent no more. What happened? They quit paying their rent because they couldn't get kicked out. And then what happened once that got took away? People started getting kicked out, right? Started getting kicked out. Our country operates honestly stupid, right? Like you ever saw the movie Idiocracy? That's the way our government operates. It really is. Like they have all this free money. They got money here and they got money there to send to everybody, right? But you let an American citizen need some help and watch all the hoops that citizen's got to jump through to get some help. And at the end of the day, probably get denied the help, right? Now you got the immigrants coming in. They're getting EBT, SNAP benefits. They're getting cell phones. Some of them are getting debit cards with money on them. They're getting free housing, But you let an American citizen that needs help like that, most people's going to look at that American citizen and call them a bum or they're lazy, right? They don't want to work. How many times have you heard people just don't want to work no more? You've probably said it. I've said it too. But when you actually sit down and look at it, you're telling these people, there's jobs here, there's jobs there. Go get the job. Go get a job. The sad fact is, all these jobs that are hiring, they're not either really hiring, they're taking applications, or they're just doing it to say, hey, we got all these job openings, and when you actually get the job or you go down there and talk to them about the job, it's part-time, no benefits, right? And some people say, well, you need to take what you can take, right? Get whatever you can get. My question is, why does anyone that's having to work 40, 60, 80 hours a week, why are we in a position where they have to go get a second or third job now, right? Why? Because the way our government's ran. We all hear, oh, inflation's not that high no more, it's back down, right? They don't include gas, they don't include groceries on that. You take somebody around here that makes $10, $15 an hour, right? Sounds decent, not probably where you live, but around here it's like, well, that's decent. I remember when I was growing up in the 90s, you know, if you made $10 an hour, you could pay whatever you want. If you made $15 an hour, you was in the upper, you know, you had money to blow then. But it's got to the point where so many people are living off credit cards. They are. And overdrafts, bank overdrafts. They use their debit card because they know the bank will cover them, right? And I know people that they do that every month, and I'm like, do you realize at the end of the month or whenever you pay this back, you know, you're $350 in the hole. You've done it 10 times. Well, I had to do it. Our economy is absolutely falling apart. It's falling. I know people say our economy's great. There's stuff on the shelves. You know, you can go get your hamburgers. If you want a steak, you can go get it. Look at the prices of this stuff now. Look at the prices of this stuff. It's getting to the point where if you're not out here fishing, hunting, you know, trying to supplement your food through the outdoors, it's getting really tight. I mean, some of the meat you buy now, we've discussed this before. You buy, let's say you buy a pack of chicken breasts, you know, number one, the chicken breasts are going to be about that thick. That's got to be genetically modified food. It's plain and simple. If you raise chickens, which some of y'all do, you know when you butcher that chicken, you're lucky to get a half-inch chicken breast off that chicken. You know, that's about the thickness of it. You know, and that pack of chicken at the store is going to cost you anywhere from $10 up. Right around here, they're going to average about $15 for 5 chicken breasts. You know, and we cut them, and when we have to buy it, we cut them in half and make 2 out of 1, get 10, and get, you know, a couple meals out of it. But our economy is so bad, and if they told us the only way we can pay this debt off is we got to stop doing tax refunds for the next 10 years, that would make people mad, right? But even though the people are sitting there looking like, if you look at it like I do, why are they giving you more back than what you paid in, right? I understand child credit. I understand that. But they're giving you back more, but they're also giving these other countries money, right? Just imagine what they could do if they stopped funding every other country's bull crap that they've got going on. If they told Israel, we're not giving you no more money. If they told Ukraine, we're not giving you no money. If they told every one of these little countries, we're not giving you no more money. Then start focusing on the United States citizens. Focus on them, because we're at a point right now where an illegal immigrant has more rights than you or I have. You know, the government's wide open for them, right? Whatever you need, you can go get it. How many people you know is struggling right now? Struggling. I know people personally that's elderly, you know, 60, 70-year-old. They're on a fixed income. They're having to choose between, you know, getting their medicine or paying this bill or that bill. And let's say they go down there to get some help. They need some SNAP benefits. They either don't get them or they give them $20 a month, right? Because their SSI or SSDI, whatever they're drawing, is just, let's say, around here the average person draws about $800 a month. That's maximum, or that's a high level. It's not maximum. You understand what I'm saying? The average person around here will draw anywhere from $600 to $800 a month. You know, I hear it all the time. You'll see it on commercials that people, once they retire, you know, and they get their SSI, they're making $1,800, $2,000 a month. I'm scratching my head like everybody around here that I know don't make that. Where is that number coming from, right? And these people work their whole life. And then you sit down and realize, wait a minute, the people around here are not making the type of money that the bigger areas are making. And that's why, you know, around here, used to, honestly, you could live off $8, $9 an hour and be comfortable, you know. I mean, you would struggle a little bit, right? But once you hit 12 and 15, oh, you could go out here, you could buy you a four-wheeler, you know, a bass boat, whatever you wanted, right? It's not like that now. Now that same stuff, let's say you wanted a four-wheeler, now you need to be making $25, $30 an hour. These house payments here lately, have you seen the prices of some of these? It's a normal thing that $1,500 a month house payment's just okay now all of a sudden. It's the normal, right? Rent, you go anywhere around here, rent's $800 and up, right? And you're sitting there thinking, where are these people working? Because a lot of people around here, they tell you got to make 2 to 3 or 3 times the rent a month in your paycheck, which means if rent's $800, you got to make $2,400 a month, right? Them jobs aren't here in my area. They're not. You might have very few of them, but there's not a lot of them. We've talked here before about how people get excited when a new restaurant comes in this town around here, or a new grocery store. It's just more ways to take your money, and they're like it's going to open up jobs. Yeah, low pay, no hours, no benefit jobs. You might have 2 or 3 that gets a manager job, right? And they're not making big money. You know, the workers that are in there, they're not working 40 hours a week. They don't have insurance. And they're like, well, they need to go get another job. They're not here. We have a huge place down here that when it was built, they said they were going to bring in almost 1,500, 2,000 workers. That's what they said when they announced that they were building this place. Well, guess what they did? They hired about 200 to 300 people. Where did the rest of them workers come from? Their other companies, their other spots across the USA. They brought those people in. They brought their management in and all that. We see that a lot here. You'll hear all the time that this company's coming in, going to hire X amount of people, and it don't ever work out like that. Our economy, I don't see how it can keep going. I really don't, because our economy is at the point right now where it is not going to take very much for it to crash. And you'll hear all the time another thing on YouTube videos. You'll hear YouTubers, the stock market's crashing. Well, I'm like, where's it at? Well, it was at 32.5. Now it's at 31.9. I'm like, that's not crashing. It wasn't that long ago that we were around 17 in the stock market. And some of y'all remember that during the pandemic. Lost a lot of crap myself during that debacle. And that got me out of it. I don't deal with that crap no more. But our government would rather help other countries before they help us. It's that plain and simple. You know, each year, I've always wondered, why do they not do income refunds before Christmas? Could you imagine the shopping after that? You know, could you imagine how much would be spent during the Christmas holidays, right? Around here, people, when they get their income taxes back, they might buy them a car. They usually just catch their bills up and are thankful they was able to catch their bills up, right? And a lot of them go on vacation, you know. I don't think I've been on a vacation in, 2024? Goodness. I haven't been on a vacation in 15 years maybe. 10 to 15 years, somewhere in there. I can't remember the last time I went. I do remember it was at the beach though. But as long as people are able to see food and things on the shelf, they're able to stop at McDonald's and get a hamburger, the majority of people are going to think everything's normal, you know. They feel it a little more at the end of the month when they're sitting there filling their bills out. You know, they're like, oh crap, things are really high, right? I mean, your average grocery bill, let's say you were spending $100 a week before all this started, that bill now is $300 or more for 1 week's worth of groceries, right? School's fixing to get out in our area, so that's going to cut down on having to buy snacks for kids, you know. It sounds dumb. I mean, it's got to the point now where you have to justify every purchase. I mean, every purchase. Like, do I need that loaf of bread, or does, little Timmy, you get what I'm saying, right? It's got that bad all over the United States. It's not just here in Alabama. I'm sure it's that way in every area. But the government hands out money every year, and if they ever said we're not going to do refunds no more, imagine how many people would get mad. Most of y'all are probably like me. You don't get a refund, or you owe. You're lucky if you don't owe at the end of the year, right? But let me know your thoughts on this. It just hit me. I was out mowing, and I was like, I got to thinking about that, about how we'll just send money everywhere, and they're fine to do it. They just invent this money out of the sky, right, that we don't have. But let me know your thoughts on this. Keep your head on a swivel. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. Protect yourself and your family at all times. At that moment, you're the only person that can do it. Our garden's coming in good. Everything's finally come up after all this rain. Most of our plants are 3 to 6 inches tall, so that's looking good. We'll do a talk about gardening in another video if y'all are interested in it. Stay safe. Keep prepping and keep cash on you. Stay safe.